don't see how anybody could complain about this.
Is he on?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Cassie, can you help me with the roll call, please?
Mayor Atwell,
Present.
Commissioners Iker,
Here.
Cahalan,
Here?
Jahinski,
Here.
Merrick,
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Commissioners excused are Greenway and Weiler.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to number 4, the minutes.
Move to pass the minutes of October 27th.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Alrighty, we will move on to 5, public hearing. Item A, public hearing number 1, topic, text amendment to Chapter 52 of the Municipal Code zoning, applicant City of Delafield. Matter, amendment to Section 52-62511 of the zoning code to increase the fee in lieu of tree replacement dollar amounts, and Section 52-14228 to modify the conditional use provision associated with community and other groups living arrangements. Is there anyone that would like to speak to this public hearing, this specific topic? Anybody that would like to speak to this public hearing? Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. We'll move on to item number 6, citizens' comments for anything on the consent agenda. Just those 3 items on the consent agenda. Anyone like to speak to those? Anyone like to speak to the consent agenda? Seeing none, citizens' comments for the consent agenda are now closed, and I ask the commission to address the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. So if you're one of the 3 folks that was on the consent agenda, you're free to stay for the entire meeting if you like, otherwise you can go. All right, we'll move on to number 8, citizens' comments on items other than the consent agenda, items, and public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak to any topic on the agenda? Mr. Mayor, come on up.
Come on up. Sounds like a game show.
Come on down.
Oh, well, we changed things around, I guess. Up, down, whatever. Name is Philip Schuman, 1717 Nakawika Road, City of Delafield. Mailing address is Heartland. Talk to you about the 7 Seas Restaurant. I see the consent agenda's been around since 1977. At that time, the property, which I now own in '88, is adjacent to the 7 Seas. At the time, there was a buffer lot between my property now and then the 7 Seas. Comments on the conditional use, though it's not a topic here, but something to be aware of. It says specifically in the conditional use permit, paragraph 2B, it says outdoor service of food and beverages to patrons, outdoor loudspeakers, outdoor playing of music, or conducting of other outdoor business activities of the permitted other than parking, shipping, and receiving and maintenance of advertising signs shall be limited to daylight hours. As this is Delafield, not Anchorage, Alaska, the proposed plan of operation is too long past daylight hours. So I think the proposed business plan of operation should be amended to be just daylight hours, just what is on the conditional use permit. A couple of other items since that time. The conditional use permit has no screening on the south property line. At that time, that was a vacant lot with a dilapidated cottage, outhouse, and boathouse. Two of those items have been destroyed, but I think the screening to the south needs to be taken care of. The third item is stormwater drainage. At the time, the conditional use permit, a lot of the parking lot on the 7 Cs was gravel, and since then, it has been paved over, so it's impervious surface. The stormwater goes down through a drain on a culvert crossing my property, which is 60 feet wide, and going down my neighbor Sue McVeigh's property about 400 feet and emptying directly into the lake. So I think the stormwater runoff needs to be addressed either in a conditional use permit or separately. This is a large asphalt area and it drains it there. My neighbor Sue McVeigh told me the culverts have broken down before, and this needs to be addressed, I think, by could be the building inspector or Public Works Committee on this drainage. The other item is just being a good neighbor. It's not in the conditional use or plan of operations, but I've been there since 1989 when I built my house. A lot of times the employees or somebody has a party after hours, and I understand the parking lot on the east side of Nakawika Road has also had parties and destroyed or disrupted some of the neighbors. This last spring, when the snows melted, I picked up about 24 empty beer bottles from these parties. They would pitch them over the fence. So this is just being a good neighbor and keeping it quiet after dark. So these are my comments. The one thing here is the outdoor service, food and beverage should be limited just to daylight hours, as in the 1977 plan of operation or conditional use permit. Anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah, just a one-way conversation, so.
I'm just an open fellow. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you,
Phil.
Mayor. All right, who would like to be next? You just simply raise our hands and I'll call you in order of who raises their hand, if anybody else would like to make a citizen's comment. Sir, come on up in the back.
Hi, I'm Ron Nelson, 2215 Key Point Lane. I'm highly in favor of the restoration of the 7 Cs. I think it's a beautiful return of the nature of the lake the way it used to be. And I think it makes Delafield and the lake very attractive. I can understand Phil's concern. Perhaps a sound wall, an attractive sound wall barrier could be constructed. For instance, maybe 6-8 inches of wood and vines growing up the side. Maybe that would actually mitigate some of the sound that he's concerned with. I feel that making it a 10 o'clock requirement that it be shut down is not too out of the reason, as long as SAS or whoever it is that's purchasing it can make it work. But to follow the up and down of the sun, closing hours for sunrise, sunset, that's a little bit hard to administer. So I think you need to stick with a time, maybe a compromise, perhaps 11 o'clock if that would help. But I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Great, thank you for your comments. Who'd like to be next? No, you're on the agenda, so. Any other comments? Any other citizens' comments? Come on up.
My name is Steve Burgum, 2016 Bay Point Lane, the Harton address. I'm in favor of what is being proposed. I think it'd be a fine addition to the Delafield and to the community. We're in the restaurant business, been there for a long time, and Saz's, Bartolotta's, these are permanent, do things for the community and work for the community, and they're not going to run off and do anything. I think they'll be very cooperative, and I would urge you to be very cooperative with them, because I think we're very lucky to get somebody of this nature to come and live in and do business in Delafield. So I think we should go along with the plan.
Great, thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Come on up.
Hi, Mark Schaefer, 2106 Evergreen Lane, Delafield. Let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. We all mourned the closing of Seven Seas. It was a wonderful part of the community. And to be given the opportunity to have a restaurant company with the expertise and experience to come in and retain this, I think we'd all like to have a restaurant here. I think, you ask yourself, we wish we had that, okay? We wish it hadn't gone away. Here's our opportunity. Here's a good opportunity from somebody with the experience to make a successful restaurant there and to follow in the footsteps of the Weisgerbers, who for many years, was a great tradition in Delafield. They have the professionalism to make this successful, to be an appropriate part of the community, and to be good neighbors. I think living in that area, would have no concerns about them as my new neighbors. So I think we should welcome them with open arms as a well-respected and professional organization with a wonderful proposal, and I went through it in detail, and it's a very well thought out, organized proposal that I don't see any issues with. Thanks.
Great, thank you for the comments. Anyone else? Anyone else? Last call. Seeing no other comments, citizens' comments are now closed. So we'll move on to unfinished business. First item under unfinished business A is DLC 700 Milwaukee Street, owner DMK Investments LLC, Matt Kowalski, applicant. Jola, help me here. Applicant seeks feedback regarding preliminary conceptual presentation of alternative design for exterior remodeling of the building that contains Kowalski kitchen and bath. What we'll do is we'll have the city planner give us her overview, and then we'll ask you to give your presentation, okay? So if you could just have a seat there.
Well, I'll be real quick. Yola's application came in for the September agenda. Yola wasn't able to make it, but you did provide some feedback regarding some exterior remodeling that they're proposing on the corner of Genesee Street and Milwaukee Street. The ordinance, this is in the downtown district, and the ordinance does have some specific design criteria associated with these properties. And so some of the feedback was to suggest bringing a little bit more of the historical context into the site. And you had suggested that she go contact Hawks Inn and get some information from them, which she did do, and did incorporate some of those elements in her proposal. So I think with that, in my staff report, and I believe we talked about it at the last meeting, I do provide the criteria, which we can go through after Yola gives her presentation, but I know she wants to explain what she's proposing and why, so I think I'll just pass it on to you after I get it up here. Okay.
Hi, my name is Jola Frączak, and I represent Kowalski Kitchen and Bath, and would like to start. Kowalski Kitchen and Bath is a part of downtown Delafield, and we enjoy the town and community support we have received since we moved here in 2011. Our exterior is a little bit dated. Also need repairs to the siding, fascia, and roof. Because of these updates, we wanted to use this opportunity to create a more appealing facade worthy of the keystone corner of the downtown that we occupy. And I did a little bit of research about the city of the Delafield and history of the Delafield. And in the Delafield population, I find out that city is losing a little bit the young generation. Through the 20 years, we see that the people between the 30-45 years appear much less in city. So through our appeal, we would like to engage more young people to this beautiful town. And we were hoping to achieve compromise between the history of the town and the new modern trend. I would like to show you our building through the years. This is the 1800s. It's the oldest building that was here. And through the years, through 1960 to 2010, became the other stores and buildings, so you can see on the pictures. And currently, our building looks like this, which you can see that is a little bit dated. In the next page, I hope you all see our accommodating results of historical touch and the new refreshing waves. We also wanted to respect the neighbors that we have in town, so we took a walk around the town, pointed out some our favorite and architectural details, the amazing building that already here. We also went back to the original 1800 version of the building, and we added on some overhang and porch details. Going back to inspiration, you can see here a picture of some Greek revival style, like trim work, a detail like moldings, typical columns for that style, copper roofs, white siding, and with the dark black finishing. And this all represented in our new design. Other inspiration came from visiting Hawks Museum, which was a really great inspiration for me. And you see here the black cast iron with natural soft wood and light walls surrounded, complemented of different texture. Beautiful kitchen pieces from 1900 brought my attention, as we are a company who design and build the kitchens. So we pulled in this sort of utilitarian materials, color scheme, and transferred to our new design. And this is our pictures of new design showing different views of our building and harmony with the history, and also new trend we'd like to upgrow our design. That's it. And if you have some question, and this is the draft design. This is not the finishing design. So we're gonna work, of course, on it with the details, but we would like to know your feedback if we can go
back
this
a slide or
direction.
two?
Yeah, I don't know. Can I?
Amy?
One more?
she
Oh,
has
me
it.
too? Do I have to do it?
I thought you were doing
I
it.
think Yoel and I are both doing it at the same time.
Okay. Which one?
There, that would probably do.
Okay.
I guess, what is that porch overhang made from? Is that metal?
It's a copper.
Copper.
And a rendering have some, we can't exactly do the copper like I wanted. It's more
Well, my
supposed
point
to
is,
be. Like, I show you like here, here, this kind of the covering look like.
If you can go back to that slide. It's not the material of the, can you go back? Yeah, it's not the material so much as, I'm guessing, it looks to me like that overhang's ready to fall off over the steps. There's no support, so either the columns aren't needed, or I would spread a column out over to that step, and on the other side, it looks like you could add another column. It just looks like it's,
Because of the stairs, no, it's gonna be like the awning, and it was kind of difficult to like made of these details. It take a lot of time, and that's why we kind of wanted your feedback so we can make this awnings looks little different way. And I don't know if necessary the columns we should add because of the stairs, this round stairs we got there, and kind of this awning would have to be like much more bigger, wider, which I don't know, it's gonna look good.
So
well, it appears to me that the overhang doesn't require columns. Is that decorative?
Yes.
So,
And is the
It's-
material fabric?
No, this is a copper.
it's a copper
It is
metal.
copper.
It's a copper, but of course we're not sure if we're gonna go through the copper. Maybe we're gonna go through the, I don't know, corrugated metal or some awnings like the fabric. Maybe it's our first.
It just looks out of
proposal.
balance. You could spread the columns out on each side of the stairs. Otherwise, it looks like maybe you don't even need the columns. That's my feedback
Yes.
on that.
Yes. Okay.
That
The columns was like coming back to the 1800s, so it was like the porch.
that's-
We don't want to make like the huge porch because it's gonna take off the siding, a sidewalk, and that's why it's kind of the columns only was as an accent. They not support.
right. That's
It's
what it
more the
looks like to me because
decoration,
you have
yes.
a big portion of that awning without any support.
Yeah, our first design was without the column, and because we got also column on the back here.
And that looks balanced and it looks good to me.
Yes, and but here maybe I'd like show this
Yeah,
because
I realize you can't put one on the stairs, but I thought
Yes.
one on each side of the stairs
we can
would-
work on it, of
would
course. We can
keep
work
that
on it. Yeah.
from looking like it's.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, I guess it showed more on the other side. To me, right now, that addition that was put on a while really looks like an addition right now. It doesn't have the same siding. The stone doesn't continue through there. So I wouldn't mind seeing that stone base go through that most recent addition and carrying the same
To
siding.
match?
Yeah, so it
match?
doesn't look like an addition.
Two different buildings.
So it looks like one building.
We actually wanted to look like it's a separate small building next to it.
Oh,
That's
it looks
why
like that.
Yes.
You accomplished
and
that
this big-
goal.
because it's
mean, if
much
everyone-
smaller and much lower, so that's why we were thinking more that it's like separate building.
Well, if
That's
others
appear,
are all
but
right
it's
with that, I could live with that.
Yeah.
I like the batten board siding, but somewhere in here it said it had to be horizontal siding.
Yeah, would you be flexible to go to horizontal instead of vertical? Because all your examples are
We are
showing
of course we-
horizontal, and I'm
Okay.
having a hard time thinking of another building that's vertical.
Actually, the next, I don't have a picture, but the two building next to us got the vertical.
Are they vertical?
Yeah, two down,
Yes,
two down
yes.
to the east
And I
of them.
like
And
it.
that's
I
why
just-
we
I don't think
also went through the vertical, because this other building got the vertical. So we kind of want to be like matching a little bit with the other neighborhood. And they have like the white building with the black accents. And it's actually the vertical, not
I just
horizontal.
didn't know how tied we were to that.
I don't think you're tied, so
To
there's
horizontal
several,
or vertical?
there's several options. Horizontal wood siding is an option of,
Smart lap or,
but there's a lot of
I'm
different.
fine with that if we aren't tied to the horizontal. I think it looks nice.
We add the horizontal because it's a little bit modern. Like I said, we want like to modernize and like make attractive for the younger generation, for the bit a little more trendy, that the town is a little more upgrow.
I think
you're
it
getting
gives-
to experience the quandary that in this community we've been doing for the last 30 years.
Okay.
And some people think
I
we're
am designer,
crazy.
so I try to. Okay, I know.
And so we appreciate your patience and we'll try to work through it. At
No,
the end of the day,
it's
we're trying
okay.
to find something that is
It's okay, I
complementary. That's the
understand.
word I like to use. It doesn't have to match, but we're trying to be complementary to the surroundings around
yes,
it. And
I
so
agree.
the
Of
more
course,
we
we-
vary away from existing, the more and more difficult it becomes to call it complementary.
Yes. Of course, no. We want to reflect the other building and everything. Yes.
I've lived here long enough to see this building change 3 times. And I gotta say, I like this one the best. I think the vertical siding gives the building the appearance of height. Because don't forget, across the street is going to be a high building.
Yes,
So this
it's-
is going to give that appearance of height. I think it looks very fresh, very clean. And a little bit of that, I like the smaller building next to it because it gives it that feel of a little downtown,
Yes, that's why
Old-
was the like
little
and
small town feel to it.
yes, like the molding. We want to
right.
get this the nice molding like the according
I,
to
I
Greek
like the
Bible
columns. I don't see how you could move them closer to the stairs because of those windows in the front.
That's why
You put them
yes,
close to the
also,
stairs,
yes.
it's gonna block the windows.
It's gonna black and like I don't know how to use the like chopped out more
Right.
the buildings.
Yeah.
So that's why the columns are where the white siding is. That they are.
I think it looks really smart. I like it.
Yeah, I have to agree. I really like the look of this building. It really freshens up that corner. It's definitely something people are going to go in there and focus on once it's there.
Nice to
It's going to be well received, I think. I was impressed by what I saw, so,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yola, can you turn it on its side? I just want to see what that parapet on the small portion of the building looks like on the side.
Side. Okay.
Is that, I mean, I like that you're putting something on there to provide a little extra
I don't
interest,
have the
but
side. Yeah, I
The
can.
east side, you don't have a picture
I
of it.
I don't have a picture. Why? Because it's actually the tree covering the side, so you don't see from the street this side of the
Okay.
building too much. That's why I showed you more the views that are visible. Like this side is visible. We put the clock on it, so also get some the kind of historical attention and view. That's why I showed
Yeah.
more visible.
Is that a fence on the east side of the building? If you go to the east side of the building there, right there, is that a fence?
sorry.
That
That's the
black?
addition.
Back of the
That's
other
it,
addition.
oh, that's the
the
back
back
of the
side of that
addition.
addition.
Okay. so
Yes,
back
it's
side-
here. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, no, it's not. It's a back
is that?
and it's okay because I use the corrugated metal. It's because it's like little modern view, and I wanted like I say separate this building from this building. That's because it's like. I don't know. I don't see make this building as a one building because it doesn't look for me like it looks like separate buildings. So I want to make a even more accent made of that's like it's a small building next to it like that.
Okay.
Is that all the siding on that addition is corrugated metal?
No,
The
no.
front is wood, I know.
The front is yes.
Or
The
horizontal.
front is like we I kind of wanted to go with the LP smart siding, a little bit. The corrugated metal is here, and I'm sorry, and here.
Yeah. Okay,
It's a little bit of the accent.
good.
Is there enough green space to put some landscaping in the back of the short building along that metal corrugate, just to
Yes.
break up that face,
Yes.
that wall?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I see that there's a door there too, so they have
It's
to have access.
okay.
Yeah.
We didn't. Also, it's because
Right there.
next to
There's
this
lots of room
building
there.
here is two other
Sheds.
Sheds.
sheds,
Oh, yes.
and we also, but we didn't. We didn't go to design yet because we want to first know which style we're gonna go, which direction we're gonna go, and we'd like to make these two buildings. We want to attach together and add the windows and make the looks like not storage, more like the home
Okay.
also. But
Good.
I didn't work yet on those two buildings,
Yeah.
but I'm going.
Now, next phase.
Okay.
Yes, next
I'll give
phase.
my two cents worth. There's a lot of options for what someone could want to do to develop the corner, and one of them would be to remove a building and put up a new building. I like the fact you're keeping the lines of the building is the building, and
Yes.
you're going to be able to stand in the corner. If you came back from 100 years ago, you'd look and say, well, they've changed it a lot, but it's the building. You know, it's the same thing. But the two things, I appreciate the use of the copper on the awning around the. It does look a little. It sort of looks like a scalloped open clamshell to me on the entrance. I'd like to see something that seems more natural. Like Dan had a comment about how it looks like it's hanging there. And anyway, so that's.
It's
It
rendering.
looks a little
It's not gonna
unnatural.
look like this. It's
Looks
really
a
not
little
gonna
awkward.
look
No,
like
no,
this.
I get it, I get it.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I mean, I like it. I don't have a problem with the vertical side. I think that's, like I said, you keep the lines and you're keeping the edge of the roof. I'm not a fan of the clock, just as a matter of, I understand you're trying to break up that side.
Yes.
I mean, a broken clock is right twice a day. A clock that's not maintained is never right. So we've got a couple clocks in town. I know our city hall clock is
Okay.
often in disrepair or not working, and we've got a clock right across, kitty corner from you, like across the street.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
But just that detail, I don't think is another clock. I don't think we need. I'm just my thoughts.
Okay.
But I appreciate the idea that you want to break up that blank space.
Yes, this is what
I'm not
because like
I'm
the.
just personally not a fan of clocks. That's all.
Okay.
Everyone's got one. Everyone's got one
This
right
is
here.
one of the times where we get to be very subjective.
but-
Usually we're measuring.
But again, it's
and-
all. But again, I mean, I love the fact Kowalski's here, that you guys are doing well, and that you're maintaining the integrity of the building. I think all that's good. But so my only issue is with that kind of curved edge on the copper awning.
I know,
It
doesn't
could
look
need-
good. in
I'm
the
sure it
rendering.
doesn't. You might have an issue with it yourself, but in the clock. So that's all I'm just nitpicking. I'm not moving in there, but I get to see everything. That's all I have to offer.
So can I come back to the vertical versus horizontal? And I heard the statements that were made, but I'm on Google Maps at Street View, and I'm looking at the next 5 buildings, and I can name them off if you like, but they're all horizontal.
The one that just got remodeled.
No,
Yoga
it's the
studio.
one.
So the knitting place is next, has a green top and
Yeah.
a stone bottom,
And the
that's
next
horizontal.
one, it's the next
The
one.
next
It's
one
a
is-
white.
The yoga
Church.
studio.
That's
It was
No.
remodeled.
totally.
Is
Yeah.
this totally out of date then? This-
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all. That's the
Okay.
same as this.
I'm
So that's
sorry,
vertical?
I
To
don't-
some.
And it's
vertical.
white and
others.
black too.
Okay.
That
It's
is
a
how
white and black, and
Yeah.
it's
That wasn't that long ago, was it?
Yeah, no,
last year.
just couldn't remember it being vertical. Okay, thank you.
okay.
Dan, you want to chime in on this?
I love it, no objections.
All right.
Thanks for doing it. I mean, it looks nice, it does.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think it
thank
really
you.
cleans it up and makes it look very
So
strong.
you're going to come back with final drawings? Is that what I heard you say?
I hope so.
Okay.
Please do.
Yes, do. I like it.
Well, thank you very much for coming. It was a
Okay.
pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to the next agenda, item 10, new business. Letter A, DLC 0782001001 1807 Neguick Road, DLC 70782996003, unknown address, property on east side of Nagawicca Road, owner Marti LLC, applicant 7Cs. Applicant is requesting approval of a business plan of operation to reopen a restaurant and banquet facility. I assume the applicant's here. If you guys would like to come up to the front and grab yourself a chair, and if you need one, you can drag one from the front row. And then whoever is speaking, please make sure you speak into the mic, and then we'll have each of you go through your names and address so we can get that out of the way if you don't mind. Cassie, make sure you got them all. No, we're just gonna have you guys give name and
names and
address.
addresses.
John Spiros, 175 East, S1, W33857 Abbott's Road, town of Delafield.
Joe Brigham, 10391 Ridgefield Court, Cedarburg. Sure. I hope you got a lot of ink in the pen. BRUEGGEMANN.
David, excuse me, David Harrow, HERRO. You can take out an R if you want to. 6128 Brumder Road, Heartland, Wisconsin, 53029.
J. Frankie, FRANKE, 6128 Brumder Road, Heartland, 53029.
Great, thank you. Amy, you want to give us an overview, please?
Sure. Okay, so you're familiar with 7Cs. One correction we discovered after sending the agenda and writing the report, they are not purchasing the property east of Nagawicca Road, which is where they had overflow parking. It was part of the conditional use that was originally approved in the 1970s, was amended in 1995 to include that as overflow parking. It is not required in order to meet the parking requirements. They have plenty of parking with the size of the existing building on the west side. And the applicants have agreed that they would not park in the road. With that being said, I do believe that we need to amend the conditional use in order to remove that parcel from the conditional use. It's on the zoning maps, and it is part of the approval. So I know the applicants, and I'm probably jumping too far ahead, but the applicants would like to close on this property before the new year. And as you know, the conditional use process takes a couple of months. So I think at the end, before we close, we'll talk about recommended action and potentially scheduling a public hearing if it is required. But other than that, the applicant is proposing to just reopen 7Cs temporarily. At least they would be keeping the same name. The business operations are very similar to what was proposed. Essentially, it will be a restaurant with bar space and then the banquet facilities, and then the parking on the west side of the road. And I believe you were made aware that there is a boathouse on the property with a second level. It has been converted into a very fancy area, which it is not permitted to be anything other than boat storage and equipment type storage. So the applicants are aware that that would be the use allowed in that particular structure. The other thing that came up by the previous mayor was the outside dining and activities occurring during daylight hours only. Their application did include hours that went into the evening. They have amended that request and have agreed to operate outside during daylight hours only. If that is something that they so desire to modify, that could be part of the conditional use amendment that is now needed to be brought forward. They originally did not think they needed to amend the conditional use because there is no requirement in that old conditional use that doesn't allow transferability. So other than that.
So Amy, that in the packet, I was a little confused because it was Friday. I was just picking Friday as an example, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and then it said late night bar and patio, which I'm assuming that's the outside?
So I think they're changing it to the bar area and not outside hours. So it would
Okay.
just be, I think that's dining versus extended hours for bar usage.
Okay, so don't look at this, look at what you just said, or
Yeah.
take in what you said, okay.
And they haven't, so they want to know that they have approval to operate as a restaurant. Hopefully I'm not speaking out of term, but so that they can close on the property. They're going to be doing some significant remodeling, and they will likely be back here in order to get that approved if there are exterior and interior significant modifications to the structure. So you do know it's part of a legal non-conforming conditional use. They do have to operate within 12 months of closing, and they closed at the end of last year. They did open up, Weisgerber's did open up in October for a few hours, so they do have until October of '22 to get up and running. Because the requirement per the state statute and in your code is they have to cease operation for 12 consecutive months. Other than that, the operation is very similar. The details have been provided in the packet. If you want me to go through those, I can. There's just some slight, like they plan on having private space in the lower level and that private members club. And then they'll continue to have the banquet style or potential weddings on the property. And then they say gathering place for the community, which again would be event space. So in those terms, it is still very, very, very similar to the previous operation. I think that's all I have to add for right now. When we get to the recommendation, just if you do recommend approval, it should be subject to scheduling a public hearing for a conditional use amendment to remove the acreage on the east side if required. I would like to just verify with the city attorney that they do have to amend it, but I feel pretty confident that they do. But at least it opens it up for if he doesn't believe it needs to be amended, then they wouldn't have to go through that.
Okay, you guys go ahead. Thank you for coming.
Sure. Thanks again for this evening. What we're looking for is the approval of the conditional use and the plan of operation for the restaurant. It will not be called Seven Seas, so we don't have a name as of yet. So the Seven Seas has been a restaurant since 1977 and has operated under the conditional use for 44 years. And I noticed on May 26, 2021, the city council voted against tearing down the building, and one of the main reasons was to keep the character of the lake. As stated by one of the council members, major factor in the lake residential area is to preserve the character and unique qualities of that area. The buyers are David and Harrow and Jay Frankie, who are Lake Country residents. David and Jay have the wherewithal and the knowledge to remodel the Seven Seas as a beautiful, up-to-date restaurant, which will again be a destination restaurant and could be the crown jewel on Negaweka Lake again, and for the city of Delafield. Recently, they refurbished another iconic property, which they named the George, in the 3rd Ward in Milwaukee. And they did a beautiful job of renovation and remodeling that building, which you could look up online. Both the George and Seven Seas will be run by Saz's Hospitality Group, who have a great reputation for running restaurants. So as you can tell, this has been well thought out. It will be very well done, financially secure, and run by a very reputable firm. So I'd like to introduce you to the buyers, David Harrow and Jay Frankie.
Thank you very much, John, and it's very much a pleasure to be here today to explain what we really want to do with the iconic property, Seven Seas, and it has to do with just that. It is an iconic property. Now, I'm personally not really in the property development business or the hospitality business. Jay and I are passionate, though, about preservation and keeping legacy and keeping tradition going, and knowing how important this property was to this community. We thought it'd be a shame if it just kind of drifted away and became something else or something vastly different. Our first experience at this really did involve preserving a building downtown that was condemned by the city of Milwaukee. And again, we thought this is just terrible. Why you knock down a perfectly good building when it can be preserved and enhanced? That's both, preserved and enhanced. And so it was actually Jay's idea, came up with this notion of 7 Cs. He drove by and saw that there was a for sale sign. We thought, what a perfect building to apply our passion for preservation and enhancement. And we thought, well, the next step is we're not restaurant operators. We'd first go to our partner that we use downtown. And as we had a meeting today, we thought, you know, you could pick all kinds of restaurant partners, but first and foremost, there has to be a cultural fit. And a cultural fit involves honesty and the ability to work with and the ability to get along and communicate with. And besides all the positive things that SASS stands for in terms of a hospitality group, for us, having an operator partner like SASS Hospitality was critical. We couldn't do it and we wouldn't do it unless we had a proper partner that really lended itself and fit well with our own personal values. So that is the general motivation behind it, the whys and the how we came across this property. Again, I'm in the investment business. I mean, I make investments, but they're from companies located well over beyond our seas. But that doesn't mean that we can't make where we live a better place and continually try to improve it and make it attractive to those of us who live here and maybe even attract some visitors. So that is the general theme. Jay will turn it over and really go into the ideas behind the program behind what was 7 Cs.
Thank you. So I'm the creative person here that kind of puts together all of these ideas that these guys come up with and kind of translate them to the community and to making this 7 Cs, kind of giving it a rebirth, as we say. Like, my idea for 7 Cs is really very much looking to the past to move forward. So I've spent some time at Hawks Inn, and there's an amazing pictorial reference of all of the different owners of 7 Cs, all the different ideas that have existed there. It's been a Girl Scout camp lodge, it's been a sanitarium, it's been a restaurant, it's had this amazing past. And so really what we're trying to do with it is kind of bring all of that past back in to the architecture, to the design of it, to the layout. We love the layout, actually. We're very excited about the restaurant floor, the banquet hall upstairs, the lower level, which eventually we see turning into kind of a private members club of sorts, like small, intimate. And then I think, we're just very excited about kind of engaging the lake and kind of finding people on Nagawicca to, use us as the place to kind of have dinner, lunch, all those opportunities. So, I think we'll come back to you with kind of more of our architectural plans and our ideas that we're thinking about for this space. But really, our plan is to kind of really strip it back to, there's some amazing bones that are in there that have been hidden and layers have been put on them over time. And really, our plan is to kind of remove those, find the history, and then kind of, like I said, move it forward. So I'm going to pass it over to Joe.
Well, thank you, Jay and David and John. This is a wonderful opportunity for SASS. I am the COO and a partner of SASS Hospitality Group. I'm not sure if many of you know, but we've been in the southeast Wisconsin hospitality business for 45 years now, since 1976. And we have 6 different divisions, a restaurant, multiple catering divisions, festivals division, a retail division, and we are very ingrained in the community. We love Delafield also, by the way. And when we had the opportunity a couple of years ago to partner up with Jay and David on this absolutely phenomenal property downtown Milwaukee called the George, which if you could see before and after pictures, you would be amazed. It's one of a kind in Milwaukee and one of the most beautiful banquet venues in our city, Milwaukee. And so for that property, just to kind of carry on what Jay was saying about really getting involved in the history and bringing that to the present, is that building had many had many uses over the years as well. And so when Jay started talking about Seven Seas, he really dove in to the history there. And so my point being, what Seven Seas has a lot of great history over the years. And it would be our honor to carry on that history with our restaurant operations, with kind of a approachable supper club concept, much like what Seven Seas had before. But with the design and the elements that Jay will bring to it, Jay and David will bring to it, this will really be a great gathering place for the community. Restaurant, I think the hours were in our submittal that we would like to do. Certainly we would amend those hours to be open outdoors just during daylight hours, not during the winter. And then a beautiful ballroom space to host things like weddings, celebrations, community gatherings, things like that. Thank you.
Questions for the applicant?
Just go to approval.
Well,
I'm
I have a
really
question.
curious, just, I know you're getting early into it, but the shoreline area, have you any, I know it's real early, so putting you on the spot, any ideas or brainstorms you've had there, what you would do different or nothing at all maybe?
I mean, clean it up. We like to, I mean, I think, our goal is, there's this amazing sunset every day, and we really want to kind of capitalize on that. And I think, we want it to feel natural, but we also wanted to have this amazing view. So we're not quite there yet, but I think we can all agree that we want to be able to see the lake. Yeah.
And as far as the lake shore also, at one time, I forget how many boat slips are there, but let's just pick a number, 14. Over time, they got rented out for private use, not associated with the restaurant, and I think in the end, we've had 6.
There's 8. I was just, you read my mind, Mr. Mayor. We actually are going to cease the renting of these boat slips because we would prefer residents from the lake to have access to the restaurant from those, so they could put their boats there.
Okay.
So we're going to hopefully keep the piers and the slips there, but it's going to be for residents who want to come to the property.
Not for annual rental or lease.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a couple comments. One, thanks for taking advantage of what's this kind of gap in the opportunity here to throw your hat in the ring and invest in the community. I think this is I think it's good for everybody if it's done well. And our role is really to protect, as Plan Commission, is protect the community interests and try to. You can't legislate people to be nice to each other, but you heard a voice of at least one, your closest neighbor, and he should have the loudest voice because he's your closest neighbor. But into you're mentioning sunsets, enjoying those. So to like have the cops show up and have everybody hustle in as soon as the last ray of sunshine hits the water, is different than. You can respect your neighbors without saying the last ray of sunshine means it's the end of the night outside. So, interested to hear what the actual proposal is as far as respecting the neighbors and that and the extreme is sunrise to sunset, right? And so there's certain midnight every day of the week. There's going to be Mayor Schuman might decide to move someday, and maybe there's a young family there that needs to get to sleep to do their homework. And there's other neighbors around that have similar issues. But so I would love to hear how you're going to make sure that the parking is adequate without using the space on the east side of the lake, on the east side of Nagawicka Road, because that has been used, and if you need to use it, if there's an agreement, it needs to be formalized in such a way that the headlights and stuff aren't hitting the neighbors over there. Anyway, I'm excited, but I'm cautious about how you move forward and make sure that the neighborhood is embracing of it as you go ahead. Because I mean, it's not like Seven Seas was a quiet church sitting there. They had their things. They got fireworks permits and other things. And I'm glad to hear about the boat slips not being rented and being a wall to people on the lake to come visit you, because that's what we need. We need destinations on the lake, and this is one of the only ones that's available. So those are kind of my random thoughts. Love to see you guys do what you're going to do, and you're going to hear more.
I think it is critically important. We've all lived in environments, or many of us have lived in environments where there's loud neighbors, garbage trucks, these types of things. And I think the most important aspect of being a good neighbor is being a good listener and being able to address people's concerns to the degree we can. You're absolutely right. It's not a library, but that doesn't mean we're going to allow it to be a negative addition to the community. We very much want it to be a well-respected, a nice place where people could enjoy themselves without being bad neighbors. And so I think, first and foremost, we hope and pledge to be very good listeners and not at all afraid to interact and to be open-minded about the concerns that the neighbors may have. Again, we want this to be complementary to the neighborhood and not in conflict with the neighborhood.
Right. Great. I mean, and we want you to be enormously successful in a way that is symbiotic, and where they've had to use the lot across the street to the east for some of that overflow for the big days and events. It's a tough road to be on if you end up with people parking on the street to accommodate so those solutions may end up needing to be accommodated in the future, and success may bring that need, but so good, just throwing that out there as far as some concerns I've heard. So
If I could address that issue,
Yeah.
we did check as far as the city ordinance. The city ordinance requires one parking space for every 150 square feet of the building, so there's about 209 parking spaces. So it would allow a building up to 31,350 square feet. And this building is just about 27,000 square feet.
Oh,
And that's with the current parking lot, not including the lot across the street.
Right. No, I get that. And I've been to the current mayor's parties. He gets parking up and down. He's got a parking problem. He's right in your backyard. I'm just saying, we don't want that every night.
No.
4th of July is great, but anyway, so that we just need to anticipate the fact that if there's those issues, we need to deal with.
I mean, at some point, we may try to buy that lot just to protect the nature of the neighborhood if we can.
Whatever you need to do.
At this stage, I don't know if it's for sale, but we have been in touch with the seller.
Okay.
We've talked.
So,
Look, I'd never want success to be bad news for anybody. So if you guys hit it out of the park and you've got more cars than you need, we'll end up needing the solutions.
and if you ever want to have your meetings there, we'll happy
Right
to
now I do.
facilitate.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I can say. But no, I'm happy to hear you guys coming into the town. So
Yeah, this is great. The one thing that came up in the fall, I'm new to the commission, so I'm learning, but the stormwater was in the fall was brought up. So just keep in mind. It sounds like you're going to spend a lot of money to revert, which is great. Just keep an eye on that stormwater and work with the city, because it was a big topic in the fall. Multiple people brought it up. I don't know what the issue is, but I would keep your eye on that for sure.
We can check that out.
Yeah.
And a comment was made about screening, and whether it's this proposal or any other, headlights in neighbors' yards from parking or traffic are something we need to have a resolution to that. So if the screening along your southern side is not up to par to keep those headlights and so forth out, we'd expect you to do whatever measures are appropriate. And just remember, it's 12 months out of the year, not just when there's leaves on certain plants and things like that. Doesn't necessarily have to be a fence per se, but that is important. We really try to make sure we get that addressed up front. That we get a commitment from you that that's something that you will take seriously and rectify as needed.
It's not up to par at the moment, so it's definitely on our plan to address that whole wall, that whole side. Our architect knows that we're working with, and so it's going to be rectified. How, I don't know yet, but it's on our list.
And as you know, we will be back because there will be a significant investment put into the building.
Yeah.
Very significant.
And I get it, what I've understood thus far is that it's primarily inside the building. I'm just asking about screenage. This is outside the building as part of the landscaping process.
Right. Yeah,
That we're not really addressing here in these documents, and that's why I want
Yep,
a verbal commitment from you that you will address those and handle
Absolutely.
them appropriately.
Yeah, verbal commitment, yes.
And then my last question is, you're asking us to approve a business plan of operation here tonight. And I don't know how I would take this document with the verbal comments I've heard today and give it to the police department and tell them what they're supposed to enforce and what they're not. So we need to take some time, I think, here to make sure we're very clear on what these hours of operations are, for what and when.
So I think just so, I just want to clarify, they've got a multi-step goal that they're trying to accomplish. One is they want to know that they can open up the restaurant on this property so that they can close on it. And so I think for that purpose, for now, they're not really proposing any changes other than to pretty much like reopen, just like Weisgerber's would perhaps reopen. But the hour of operation change that they did propose is to remove that patio outdoor space from the daylight hours. That really is the only change that I'm aware of that they are making.
From the non-daylight hours.
What did I say?
Daylight hours.
To only allow the
Vampire
daylight
hours.
hours. No, you can
So is that-
only
so-
do outside business at night.
So when we make our motion, what do we need to include there as an amendment to the submitted business plan of operation so that that's documented?
To just eliminate the outdoor activities at night, patio activity. They literally, what they're proposing is to just strike out the word patio from their operation plan.
So on Friday and anywhere I just want to get it right for you folks, that's all, right? I don't want any questions after. That's just simple as that. So you're telling me if we strike the word patio from Friday and Saturday, which currently reads 11 to 10 p.m., that meets what they've said?
Yeah, it might be lower too. Might be in the extra, there's an extra.
Well, can we just say that as presented, but removing outdoor patio service outside of daylight hours?
And my recommended motion in the report is that they must comply with all conditions of the conditional use permit, which does prohibit the nighttime hours, so I mean,
So it'll be redundant
it's
then.
enforced.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you're aware, if you approve this, it is subject to them amending the conditional use to remove the
East side.
eastern acreage if
Yeah,
required.
we got that part.
And that we want to schedule a public hearing for December so we can get this moving.
Let me take a stab at this. I move to approve the proposal for the currently named 7C's business plan of operation, subject to no outdoor patio service outside of daylight hours, and subject to all the terms of the existing conditional use permit, also subject to public hearing and conditional use, per the conditional use to address the east side parking of Negawicka Road.
And non-rental boat slips?
Well,
I didn't say that.
yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know
they're
how
not
that's gonna go.
Are you agreeing to that for sure? I mean, you could add that. They're not,
I'm not
Are
sure.
you okay with that being added in there?
The boats are permanently gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the boat slips are, we had no intention of having.
So if you add it,
And-
we're good.
And no seasonal rentals of boat slips.
Just a clarification, so if necessary for the public hearing, because I think there's a question whether that's legally necessary.
So I'm,
Yes, if,
As far as the business plan of operation, the boat slip portion, is that what you're asking?
No,
No,
we're.
to remove the
about
eastern-
the public
remove the
hearing that,
eastern lot.
To amend the conditional use for the land across the street.
so the concern, just so the plan commissioners are aware, is there's a
So
conditional.
before we do that, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. The conditional use agreement from 1977 has only been amended through action in minutes, not through a new recorded agreement. But the ordinance doesn't require a conditional use agreement to be recorded. So I do believe it needs to be amended, but I think it is important to catch it or touch base with Attorney Macy or Hammes.
So you're saying, Tim, subject to a determination?
I just subject to the conditional use being amended to remove the lot on the east side of Nagawicka Road if necessary.
Okay.
You've got that in there if necessary.
I'm good with the if necessary.
Can they operate while we wait to find out about the public
We're
hearing? yes or
approving their
no?
business plan of operation today.
Tonight, right?
Well, subject to the CU being
Yeah.
amended if necessary.
Yeah. But can they,
But nobody
next
has an
Monday,
objection.
can they open up? Or no, they have to wait for that?
The way that the motion's written, they would have to wait for that.
So we're talking 2 months for the process, right?
Well, actually, because December, we bumped our meeting up a week. If you schedule the hearing tonight, they can go to hearing on December 15th, I believe, and then the Common Council acts on December 20th. So it's a very quick turnaround.
Does that work with your timeline?
Yes, we don't plan on reopening until at least sometime later next year to reactivate the conditional use terms and conditions. In all likelihood, the property won't be fully operational till sometime in 2023, given the care and effort needed to put her back into shape.
Yeah, I mean, really, they want to have the comfort of closing on this property at this point.
That's what we.
And does the motion that we've made make you feel comfortable closing on the property?
Repeat that again.
Does the motion that was made make you feel comfortable closing on the property?
Yes.
Okay. So just, I'm confused, so help me. Will be done, the council will approve the conditional use, when?
December 20th, if.
Roughly
if
December
it's approved,
20th.
I mean, if it goes through.
Assuming it's approved, the opportunity to do that would be December 20th. After that's done, when would you anticipate having any kind of activities there?
Yeah, we would need to have some activity, which would be non-permanent activity, sometime next year to maintain the conditional use.
So it's sometime after December,
It would
roughly
be-
the 20th, assuming it's approved.
Before October sometime.
Before October, before Halloween, we have to have
Okay.
by this
So
conditional
we're
use.
good. I thought I heard a comment earlier where you might be opening much sooner than that.
No.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
So is that motion also scheduling the public hearing?
No, that's a separate motion.
Okay, just wanted to clarify. Okay.
All right. Everybody's comfortable, I think. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to move to schedule a public hearing for review of this conditional use if necessary. At the next available plan commission meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Welcome to the city of Delafield. We're glad you're here. Very glad you're here.
This was the we love you but hug.
Yeah. I think they made a lot of people happy. A lot of people miss the restaurant.
Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on to 10B, DELC 0808985002, 501 Maple Avenue, owner Cedar Square LLC, applicant City of Delafield. Applicant is requesting that the Planning Commission initiate and schedule a public hearing to rezone the properties for B4 General Business District to B6 Commercial Holding Zone District as recommended in the Economic Development Land Use Focus Group project. Amy?
Okay, hold on here. Okay, so this property, there we go, is located in the southwest corner of Hillside Drive and Maple Avenue. It currently has one large building on it. It's got a pretty steep driveway off of Maple Avenue and then circular parking lot. And the building, it was discussed as part of the focus group for the economic development project, that it might be a property with opportunity to have more development than how it's currently zoned. So right now it's zoned B4, which is a business-only district. And the group is recommending that it be rezoned to B6, which also allows business uses and potentially residential uses through a planned development conditional use. So you'd still need they would need a conditional use for those residential uses, but it would offer that, whereas the B4 does not. The land use plan is currently in a planned mixed use category, so the zoning would fit well with the land use plan, which promotes the combination of commercial and residential uses. The focus group did feel that this is, again, it's kind of an isolated parcel across from the town hall, and then you've got the industrial districts to the west, that it would be a good location to increase residential use to help accommodate and have consumers going to all of the nearby businesses north of 94 and to the west. A couple of things to just point out. So the B4 district, there are going to be a few uses that would no longer be allowed that are allowed in B4. Some more intense business type uses, including building material and storage yard, cold storage lockers, exterminating shops, feed and seed stores, garages for car repair, laundry and dry cleaners, and printing and newspaper businesses over 2,000 square feet, and warehousing, wholesaling, and distribution centers. So,
Those
I mean,
would
those
be
are
removed.
probably unlikely uses for that property anyway. So I believe that the ability to have multifamily residential, for example, would be of higher value and interest than those B4 uses that are being lost. B6 is mostly, I mean, there's a long list of permitted uses. It's office, retail, service, restaurant, tavern. Amusement facilities is the one thing that isn't in most districts. And then the residential plan development, there are some pretty specific standards that go along with that as well. For example, they are limited to a 50% or 0.5 ratio for floor area ratio. They're limited to 65% impervious surface. 20% of the property needs to be landscaped, and that doesn't include stormwater facilities, and I believe you have to review whether or not steep slopes should be included in that. And then steep slopes over 25% shall be protected. There are steep slopes over here, but I'll be honest, I didn't calculate or do a measurement to determine whether or not they exceed 25%.
I've actually been up there, and it is a beautiful view. 'Cause you
Somebody's
get-
going to get some great views.
Yeah. I think it was a private home at one time,
It
many
was,
years ago. Because it faces
looks like
Pewaukee
it.
Lake. It's beautiful.
I mean, that happens to be the property where my office is.
Yeah.
I've been in it a few times.
And it on one whole wing of it, you can see it was like a Frank Lloyd Wright design house, and there's still the fireplace and you know, a bathroom and where a bedroom was. So, and then that rectangular piece was added on.
So are we simultaneously amending B6 to exclude those uses, or going from B4 to B6 takes that out of play?
No, right. So I'm just explaining.
So
The
B4 to
property
B6
owners did
takes
reach
those out of
out.
play, the
First
cold
ones,
storage
and
the-
it adds the second list.
B6 just removes
Removes those.
Yes.
Okay.
naturally. But they're still allowed anything in B2, B3,
Right.
and then
right.
B6.
Understood.
And we're just looking to schedule a public hearing, right?
Scheduled public hearing.
Thanks for starting with the simplest. I think this is a good idea. Are they all this easy?
No.
It changes really quickly.
They get harder
No,
as
this
we
makes
go,
sense.
so we
It's-
just want to get the process down, if you remember, right? The thought process and the rhythm, and they'll be more prepared for,
Get some momentum.
I mean, and then, so if someone can, if we contend, someone tries to leverage the fact that, you know, higher density residential could go there, they're still gonna be subject, and I know the answer, but I'm just vocalizing it. They're still subject to all the issues with what kind of traffic we're putting on, what kind of road, and what kind of emergency services they need, what kind of impact they have.
Environmental.
And so
all
the likelihood that we're gonna get, you know, 400 unit buildings there at some point is it'd be an extremely cumbersome exercise for someone to try to put that there. So it still goes through all the rigors of the site plan approval and all the fun stuff, right?
That is correct.
All right. Like I said, I
There
think I
is-
knew the answer.
The sewer does run there, right?
Sewer and water would be able to serve the property.
Okay. That's good to know.
Well, I'm motion to recommend scheduling a public hearing for this property, changing it from B4 to B6.
Second.
alrighty, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Great. A date for the public hearing?
Sorry, what was that?
What would be the date for the public hearing?
Oh, December 15th.
I think that applies to the last motion too, right?
Yeah, I think I said that.
Oh, that was Cassie. I didn't know who
I'm
was
pretty
asking
sure
that.
it's in there.
We'll check the tape.
Yeah.
I think you said the next available.
I said next
I
available.
said next
public
available,
hearing.
yeah, so it is nice.
Okay, 10C, the city of Delafield is requesting that the planning commission initiate and schedule a public hearing to amend the text of the zoning code to allow senior living housing type as a permitted use in the B5 zoning district when proposed in conjunction with the medical facility on the same property, as recommended in the Economic Development and Land Use Focus Project report. Amy?
Okay, so another focus group recommendation. We were talking about B5 and, you know, specifically the corner at 94 and C came up, and, you know, what are the most appropriate uses for that property and properties within the B5 district. And, you know, hotels have come and gone that conversation. They did not feel like it was an appropriate time to recommend any changes to the zoning district to allow hotels. But then we started to talk about senior living and how that was part of a proposal for a medical campus. And the code act does not specifically allow senior type living uses. So whether it's that property or any other B5 property, clinics and medical centers are one of the permitted uses. And so the group felt that it would be appropriate to add as a permitted use, including a variety of senior living housing types such as memory care, independent living, and assisted living if the use is accessory and complementary to a medical use on the same property. So, and, you know, we've had the conversations with Cbrfs and what have you, and where, you know, the city does want to accommodate the increased population in senior living, and this would be one of those types of zoning districts where it would be appropriate.
This is actually my neighborhood and my neighbors, and we've had long discussions about this. And my neighbors felt that senior living would be good because of the medical facilities there. It's very close to the freeway, close to the hospitals, close to clinics, close to downtown. It's just, we felt it was a really good location, and because it's kind of residential, it would fit within our residential neighborhood.
It's also my neighborhood.
Yes.
And I guess I would be fine with not attaching it as part of, in association with a medical clinic. Because what if you have separate ownership and a medical clinic changes or becomes something else?
True.
I don't think our neighbors would be.
Yeah, as long as it has residents. I know my neighbors were okay with it because of us living in a residential.
CBRF without the association of the medical,
Or even
unless you know differently why that committee.
No, actually, so, because the next I don't know if it's the next item on the agenda, but we're also proposing to amend it's not just CBRFs, but the community-based residential facilities and other group living arrangements, conditional use, is allowed in B5. So
I noticed that.
the way this is written, if it's part of a medical clinic, it could be part of the operational plan and be permitted by right. Whereas if somebody came in and they just did a living facility, a senior living facility, it would be a conditional use permit.
I get that.
And I think the one nice thing about how that works out is it is a business district, so it really is intended for business uses. So yes, you could come in and ask for that residential component, but it would then take it into a public hearing.
I'm fine with it either way.
Anyone else? Otherwise, we're looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion. Schedule a public hearing for text amendment request to allow senior living housing types as a permitted use in B5 zoning district. When in conjunction with a medical facility on the same property, the Plan Commission should consider whether the use should be permitted by right or conditional use permit.
Oh, I
as
did
plan
add that.
development.
The group did recommend permitted by right, but it is something you could consider, whether or not you want all residential uses to go through a conditional use. I think that B5, when that original proposal came in and included senior living, they weren't gonna go through a public hearing. Right? I mean, as far as I know, that they,
I don't remember it coming.
I don't remember either.
the assumption must have been that it was a similar type use.
Yes.
Discussed that, but I don't remember where it ended up.
About their proposal having the CBRF in it?
Well,
that
not
the
necessarily a
question?
CBRF, but it had
Was it
senior
permitted?
living
Yeah, it
included.
had a block for senior living.
Right, senior housing.
It did, but were they trying to call that a permitted use? I don't remember.
Never got far enough to ferret that out completely.
Okay.
I
She
think
has an
you're right.
ambiguous,
It didn't
she has an ambiguous motion right now, right? She's saying
You
either
do
or.
have that last
it
one, and I
either or.
apologize, I forgot that I put that in there.
Because it says
The focus
permitted
group is
use.
proposing it be permitted by right if associated with a
If
medical
it's
clinic.
associated with it, you're
I just
eliminating.
wanted you to, before just going forward, making sure that that was, that
fine
you
with
wanted
that.
it by right instead of conditional use.
Okay, good, I read that.
Can you read back the motion?
Do you just remove that sentence from the motion if that's what
Are
you want?
are you removing
Permitted
that
by right.
sentence?
Yeah, I'll remove that last sentence.
Okay, so can you remove that last sentence and the second agrees? Dan, you agree? You
Yes,
second?
yes.
So can you read back what you have, please?
It was just the city of Delafield was requesting that the plan commission initiate a public hearing to amend the text of the zoning code to allow senior living housing types as permitted use in the B5 zoning district when proposed in conjunction with a medical facility on the same property as recommended in the economic development land use project. And
That's all in the
That's it.
motion?
Do you have a microphone, Cassie?
Yeah, you turn it on.
yeah, can you say this over? Because I
Sure.
started typing when you were speaking.
Okay, recommend scheduling a public hearing for a text amendment request to allow senior living housing types as a permitted use in the B5 district when used in conjunction with a medical facility on the same property.
And that's my second.
Got it. Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. All right, we'll move on to number 11, zoning and ordinance revisions. Item A, discussion and possible action to consider City of Delafield Municipal Code text amendment to section 52-625I1, tree preservation, including increasing the fee in lieu of tree replacement from $150 per caliper inch to $250 per caliper inch, and a text amendment to section 52-14228 specific to conditional use for community-based residential facilities. Amy?
So we've talked about both of these at the last meeting, so I won't go into a whole lot of detail other than just as a refresher, the tree board had recommended the increase in fee because the cost of replacing a 2.5-inch tree is actually $300. And so the cost for the city to compensate for that tree removal was quite a bit higher than what people are paying us. So the only change is to increase it from the in lieu payment from $150 to $250. Attorney Hammis did recommend, so in green are just the changes from last month's meeting, not the code,
Right.
that we changed that word opinion to determination. And then the other section we talked about a whole lot is the conditional use section for Cbrfs. The only change he made since the last meeting is he cleaned up that first paragraph, which it does sound quite a bit better, so. That's all.
All right.
So are you looking for,
So with that, I don't have anything there for you, do I? Just a, motion to recommend
Hearing.
approval of the, nope, this is, the hearing is
We can just
tonight.
changes.
okay, approval and then recommendation to council?
Mhm.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the amended changes as noted here and to recommend to council the same.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. All right, on to 11B, schedule a public hearing for a zoning code text amendment to include an indoor gun ranges as a permitted use in B6 commercial holding zoning zone district subject to condition. Amy.
Okay, so last item on the agenda is at your October meeting, you directed staff to draft text amendments that would allow indoor firing ranges as a permitted use in the B6 holding district, commercial holding district, provided outdoor ranges are prohibited and no conditional use be permitted on the property. So the city attorney did draft the language for this code, which I have on the screen. And then the Common Council also supported the text amendment, not this specific language, but the idea of doing a text amendment instead of requiring a conditional use at their meeting on November 1st. So if you like the language here, I would recommend you formally initiate a text amendment application and schedule a public hearing for next month's meeting. I know, do you want me to talk about potentially some refinements to this?
Well,
or
I've
do you
got
want
one,
to?
I've got one that I'm particularly concerned about, and that is the definition of an indoor range. Because you can use various materials. If you say that it's indoor and you're in a tent, that's not necessarily gonna keep a bullet from leaving the indoor range. So, I mean, I would like to seriously consider some language that specifies that the building in which the shooting activity is occurring be built in a way that it is absolutely going to prevent a projectile from leaving that area. So I've got something that I'm not an attorney. I'm decent. I know English is my first language, so let's see if this works. But I would like to see language in here that says that the building in which shooting activity occurs needs to be configured, constructed, and maintained in a way to prevent a projectile discharge from a weapon from escaping the building that the range is contained in, regardless of whether any entrance, door, window, loading dock, or similar access to the exterior of the building is left open. And my point there is like, okay, so you've got this great indoor range that contains all the bullets. Well, someone leaves a loading dock door open and a bullet goes, ricochets off of someone leaves the premises. Someone wants to open up the windows because it's hot outside, and you know what I mean? I mean, just, so I'm just saying that we're gonna have site plan review and all this other stuff for wherever range is proposed based on the fact that it's gotta be an approved, you know, it's going through the process. But the simple definition of what an indoor range is, I think, needs to be buttoned down to say that a bullet can't leave it. No matter what, no matter who does what, if you're shooting in that area, a door's open, it can't leave.
I like a lot of what you said. The only word I would change is weapon to a firearm.
I like that.
And it's simple reasoning because bow and arrow can be used, or definition of a weapon is pretty broad when you really think about it. And it's just narrowing the field down, which applies completely to what's being proposed here.
So I mean, I'll just put that as a motion to amend what we have here.
Yes.
Yeah, I like,
And then
So-
we can improve the whole thing if you don't mind.
So the only question I have is it's a facility that has other things going on besides just a shooting range.
Correct.
So I just want to make sure that we're specific enough that we're putting those restrictions on just the area where the shooting
Well, I said,
activity takes place.
that's what I meant to, when I prefaced it, the area where the shooting activity is occurring. Because you're gonna have and he doesn't want, whoever doesn't want, he or she, they, doesn't want, their banquet area having bullets ricocheting around it
Well, it's not
either.
going to get to the,
I know, I'm
the way
just
we're
saying.
writing it, it's not going to get to the banquet area,
I
right?
know, so that's what my point
That's
is,
what
is that it's just the area where shooting activity occurs.
Perfect.
So,
Yeah, I like it. Make it
yeah,
up.
I like
Make it
all
a
right,
motion.
so,
The fact that it could have been a tent, I definitely don't like.
is that, so I'll just sit on that and unless someone has
I've
somebody else.
actually been in indoor shooting ranges in Milwaukee. And by and large, there's only one door in or one door out. And the rest is concrete underground, so, there's no windows you have to worry about.
Just because I know that we're gonna have site approval for the future ones, I'd just like to have something in just the general acceptance of what an indoor range is, and just define it
More
a
of a
little bit more.
description.
And have it, as a part of this part, and then we'll still have the purview to say, it shouldn't be, in the parking lot of KinderCare or something like that, like we can do those other types of things, but, so
So can you please read that again?
Is this your motion?
why don't I make it as a motion to approve
Okay.
the ordinance update? So I move to approve the ordinance update as written with the inclusion of an indoor firing range must be designed to have the shooting activity occur in an area that's entirely enclosed within a building where the weapons, no, I'm sorry. Firearms are discharged to be configured and constructed and maintained in a way to prevent projectiles escaping from the area that the range is contained in, that the shooting area, not the range, that the shooting area is contained in, regardless of whether any entrance door, window, loading dock, or similar access to the exterior of the building is left open.
Okay. That's fair.
Second?
So I guess I'm just trying to visualize this, right? I'm in gun ranges that I've been in. So basically there would have to be, if I'm thinking this through right, there'd have to be two doors. Yeah, come on up.
All right. Again, I think it's a safety feature. So the range that we're
Still need your
proposing-
name and address.
Well, and hold on, I do want to just say, so it is really important, this conversation is not about this property that is also subject to an application, it is a
Yeah.
citywide
I
ordinance.
think
We
we're
have a
asking for
motion
help
and a
on
second.
indoor gun range design. I
Okay.
think is what we're, just so we have good wording. At least that's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
My name is Brian. Test.
Towards you,
No.
toward the top.
Move that switch towards you.
My name is Brian, last name Doro, D-O-R-O-W. I live at 108 Kestrel Way, Kesterl in Heartland. Speaking the range design, normally you have cement walls. It's a rectangle figure for the most part, and then either a precast roof on or some cement, a combination of bullet-resistant steel and a precast top. And that's what I'm familiar with. However, the door, especially if you have a rifle range, you may have to put some type of door. Normally that would be a steel door so that a round cannot leave. So once you have your structure, your cement, poured concrete, in certain areas where the steel is wrapped around it, you got your steel or fiberglass baffles, and then you have a spancrete roof. There's no way a round can escape.
And so we're making sure.
Yeah, it's kind of redundant. I'm just saying, it's, with or without a door for a human to get in there. If, more or less describing a labyrinth or an L or something in the design, where it's gonna have to defy physics to get out of the area.
Yeah.
And so, I'm familiar with, I've only been in 2 indoor ranges, but that seems to me what the designs have been, where if you were to have somebody holding the door for somebody else and holding the door for somebody else, which
Should not be happening.
you'd probably be shot in there if you were doing that.
Yeah.
But even if that was the case, I've seen where it, rounds wouldn't leave if they're designed that way.
That makes
It's a
sense.
bunker.
It's just trying to create where there isn't a straight door to a public area.
I'm sorry?
I think the wording just tries to make sure that there isn't a straight area to a public.
And this is, so
Yeah.
this is going to a public hearing, so if it needs a refining, it's still gonna, it still can be tuned to correct my language or whatever.
Alright.
So that my point, you get my point. So.
Yeah.
It's
Just
airtight,
kinda
basically.
And we have a motion and a second on it.
Okay.
All right, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, passes. Okay, number 12, report of city officials. A, planning commission meeting dates and deadlines. Regular meeting date is December 15th, 2021. Regular meeting submittal deadline, November 30th, 2021. B, correspondence. I'll refer to any that are in the e-packet. City planner.
I do not have anything to add other than to keep on our schedule with the focus group topics. We originally had are you familiar with the Benkowski property, which would be the property north and west of the Hawthorne Farm development that you've reviewed very recently? That was the next item on the agenda. I think we will delay that because there's some discussion about future phases being proposed with Hawthorne Farm, and that may affect what ends up getting proposed there. However, we do have another proposal that is coming forward that affects property that's on the east side of the city along 83, or just west of 83, north and south of Nagawicka Road. So that will probably be our next proposal, which will at least start the conversation at the December meeting.
We're just slightly reordering the items because we have a potential development that's also looking at the Benkowski property. Wow.
Threaten to open the door a crack
So we're
and
trying
light
to,
comes through.
manage the timeline, right? And why make a change if they would like to see something slightly different that we all might like even better,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So,
And those lands along 83, it's part of a much bigger area. We'll probably focus it on one to start with because we need to be able to reach out to all of those property owners.
Where is this at?
What I'll bring up in December.
No, where's the
the
location?
Benkowski property,
Which one? The Benkowski, so there's
Yeah, but that one.
Benkowski?
Where's that?
Benkowski is, do you know where Hawthorne Farm
Yeah.
is being proposed on
Okay.
north and south of Neshota Road?
Yeah.
It's just north of that development.
Got it.
south of 16, it's in the gap.
Yep, thank you.
And then the one we will do is on Highway 83, Decent. Okay, great, thank you, Amy. Building inspector, tell us some good news.
Nothing to report.
No.
We're getting close.
It's good news.
Sometimes.
Although he might get busy in
Are you getting
2022.
busier?
Right.
Are you getting busier?
No,
Not quite yet?
no, not yet.
It's coming.
Get ready, get
All right, thank you. All right, seeing no further business, we,
I'm assuming a public hearing scheduled for the 15th, right?
yeah.
Okay, because you guys didn't officially say it, so we weren't sure. We just wanted to make sure. It wasn't part of the motion,
We're good.
so we didn't know if you had to officially do it in order to do it.
Better check.
We're good, Amy, right?
Yes, no?
Did you go, did you say the motion that it was stated in or who did the motion?
language is
No.
Yeah,
We're talking about the gun club.
Yeah, but there was,
Tim did.
Tim did.
Yeah.
Tim did that motion.
No, nothing about the public hearing.
No.
no, it was
Have to cross
just
check.
about the language change, and it wasn't anything about the public hearing, so.
That was,
We didn't
You
close
got that
yet.
one just in the nick of time.
Yeah, we didn't
Nice
close
job.
yet.
wasn't it inherent in the public?
Have to backtrack here.
edited the language and then schedule a public hearing. Is that right?
I don't know. Cassie, we'll rely on you.
While you're being,
We're just double checking, no better safe than sorry.
You may have at the very beginning of it all.
would you accept
I'll
a
go ahead and-
friendly, instead of the word escaping, could you change it?
That'd be at the
No,
public
that's
hearing.
done. So, Cassie, can you go back and just make sure we schedule the public hearing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm adding that to.
Well, we would have to make a motion and so forth, you can't just add it.
Okay,
If it's not, that, we just need to know if it's there or not there.
it was not there.
It was not there.
Okay.
Separate motion, right?
Okay, so we will go back to 11B.
Just make a motion to
And
schedule.
Amy, you'd be looking to schedule
it
a
simple.
public hearing
I move that
for
we
December
schedule a
15th?
public hearing December 15th.
For item 11B.
Correct.
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Now, anything else we missed? Thank you for doing that. Seeing no further business, we are now adjourned at 8:40. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.